Give praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach. And you all already know what it is. John chapter 5 and verse 39. Alrighty then. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that ye have not the love of Elohim in you. I want you to go to James chapter 2 and verse 20. He said, I know you, the love of the Most High is not in you. When the love of the Most High is in you, you're going to roll. You're going to roll, and you're going to roll hard. It says in James chapter 2 and verse 20, but wilt thou know, O vain man? You know what it means to be vain, right? It means you're worthless. Worthless. Something that's vain is worthless, has no point. You know what I'm saying? That's why they say that's I'm trying to sit back and use a sentence for it. Vain in that sentence, that's what that English language will get you, because vain has multiple definitions. But one of them is someone who's full of themselves. You know what I'm saying? But in this instance, when he's saying, oh, vain man, you're a worthless man. Remember, he said they worship me in vain. You know what I'm saying? It means you're for nothing. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? See thou how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect. And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed Elohim, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of Elohim. Now I'm going to tell you, let's sit back and look at it, what he's talking about in Genesis 22. He said, was he not justified by work? Because in the 15th chapter of the book of Genesis, Abraham had been determined to be righteous before Yah, had he not? Had he not been determined to be righteous in the 15th chapter of the book of Genesis? Genesis 22 and 6. I guess y'all ain't aware of it. I ain't finna go read it. You ought to know that. Genesis 22 and 6. Well, make it 22 and 1. And it came to pass after these things that Elohim did tempt Abraham, and said unto Abraham, and he said, behold, here I am. And he said, take now thy son, thy only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which Elohim had told him. Now drop on down about verse 9. And they came to the place which Elohim had told him of, and Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of Yahuwah called unto him out of Shamahim, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fear Elohim, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, from me. Now, why would that be important, what he just said to him right here? And based off his action according to what we just read in that epistle letter. Why would that be important? Yeah, he showed his faith. He showed his belief in Yah because he obeyed it. He manifested it. See, a lot of these people want to tell you just love and believe. But he loved Yah enough to say this man told him to offer his only son, who he made a promise to say that your seed would come out of him. He said an heir would come out of your own bowels. And he was willing to offer his son up. Why? Hebrews chapter 11. Yeah, Yeah, we done. Yeah, you know, that's Hebrews 11 and 17. We going through. Yeah, we done went through that before. Because he did provide his own sacrifice, which was a Mashiach. You know what I'm saying? But right now, we looking at something. How many of y'all would have been willing to do that? How many of y'all, knowing that y'all made a promise to you, you already didn't think you would be able to have a child because you were old and your wife was old? You know what I'm saying? And now he asking you to sacrifice him. How many of y'all would have been willing to do that? I guess ain't none of y'all be willing to do that. At least y'all honest. At least y'all ain't gonna lie about it and say you would have did it. Hebrews 11, 17. It says, by faith Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac. And he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said that in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Accounting that Elohim was able to raise him up even from the dead, from whence also he received him in a figure. That means he already felt like, boy, it don't matter if I offer him or not, boy, y'all gonna raise him from the dead because he's a man of his word. I believe him. He's already told me that only an heir out of my own bowels and my seed gonna be called out of Isaac. So therefore, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do that. This is the righteousness of the law because he believed. See, a lot of people sit back and look at, okay, he believed, but then when he believed, he set forth the action. See, you just can't turn around and say you believe and then don't set forth the action. That's why he say, oh, you believe in there's one Elohim. He say the devils do and tremble. The devils do and tremble. Y'all realize that, right? Don't y'all realize when them unclean spirits seen the Mashiach, what they said? Are you the son of Elohim? Are you come to do us before the time? So they knew, but yet they were disobedient. I want y'all to come over here to Psalm 71. Psalm 71, probably about verse 10. So that's what a verse that I want. Yeah, I'll start at about verse 6 though. Make it 5. Psalm 71 and 5. You all right? He said, for thou art my hope, O Yahuwah Elohim, thou art my trust from my youth. By thee have I been holding up from the womb. Thou art he who took me out of my mother's bowels. My praise shall be continually of thee. Don't y'all realize that's the same testimony that Isaac would have, right? He took him from his mother's bowels. He was the seed of the promise, was he not? Just like a Mashiach war. He said, I am as a wonder unto many, but thou art my strong refuge. Let my mouth be filled with thy praise and with thy honor all the day. Cast me not off in the time of my old age. Forsake me not when my strength fail. For my enemies speak against me. They that lay wait for my soul take counsel together, saying, Elohim have forsaken him, persecute and taken, for there is none to deliver him. He says, O Elohim, be not far from me. O my Elohim, make haste for my help. Let them be confounded and consumed that are adversary to my soul. Let them be covered with reproach and dishonor that seek my hurt. But I will hope continually and will yet praise thee more and more. And listen to what he tells you. My mouth shall show forth thy righteousness and thy salvation all the day, for I know not the numbers thereof. I will go in the strength of Yahuwah Elohim. I will make mention of thy righteousness, even of thine only. Now, what did you hear before we hit verses 15 and 16? What did that sound like to you before we got to that point? Come on, y'all, crank it up a notch. Ain't no need to be nervous. We got the rope. That's exactly what you sit back and look at. That's what he heard. That's what you should have heard. Because listen what the man tell you in the 10th verse. His enemies speak against him and lay wait for his soul and take counsel together. Well, let's look at Matthew 26. Let's see if they lay in wait and taking counsel on his soul. That's the same thing. You know, Saul did the same thing to David. Laid wait, made counsel with people to kill him. Ain't that's what he did? You turn around and look at, that's what most people gonna do to you. That's what America looking to do to you right now. They just ain't came out all the way out with it. Give me a second, please. All right. Charger was up under this wheel. Let me get it up under there. And it says in Matthew 26 and about verse 3, and it says, Then assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people into the palace of the high priest who was called Caiaphas. And they consulted that they might take Yahushua by subtlety and kill him. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people. Now you notice it said he came with subtlety to kill him. Same way that the beast, that the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. He would come in with subtlety or deceit. And we were talking about last week that these evil men going to be waxing worse and worse, deceiving people and being deceived. I want you to look at, I think it's 2 Timothy 4:1, I believe. 2 Timothy 4:1. We'll come back to Psalm 71. See, the reason why we're looking at that they laying wait, taking counsel with subtlety. See, people use subtlety to be able to get you to fall off of what you're supposed to be doing. See, this is what happened. Don't let yourself get caught up in nothing like this here. I charge thee, therefore, before Elohim and the Master Yahushua HaMashiach, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom. Preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust they shall heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned unto fables. Who y'all know had itching ears? I know one person off the rip. You should already know who this person would be. I can't even say that Saul had itching ears because he didn't heap to himself any teachers. Saul just went and did what he wanted to do. And tried to blame it that he was scared of the people. But you know, Eve had itching ears. You know what I'm saying? Because her ears was turned away from the truth. Because this man came and taught her something different than what she was taught, and she went after that. You know what I'm saying? She went and believed a fable, or believed a lie, believed a story. You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of people had these itching ears. The reason why we went to see it, because they wanted to kill a Mashiach by subtlety or by deceit. You know what I'm saying? When you look at a lot of these false prophets, man, how they going to come and get you? They're going to come and get you with deceit. They're going to come get you with lies. Because they're going to make these lies sound good. See, come over here to Jeremiah 26 real fast. Hold on, that's what I wanted. My bad, 28. I just want 28 and 15. This is about Hananiah. He came around there telling lies. And listen to what he said about him. Then said the prophet Jeremiah unto Hananiah the prophet, Hear now, Hananiah, Yahuwah have not sent thee, but thou make this people to trust in a lie. Therefore thus saith Yahuwah, Behold, I will cast thee from off the face of the earth. This year thou shalt die, because thou hast taught rebellion against Yahuwah. Don't you realize when the people tell you, man, you ain't got to keep this man laws and you ain't got to do this, they're teaching you to rebel against the man. So I want you to come back to Romans chapter 2. We still holding Psalm 71. See, when you got itching ears and you turn away from the truth, default people have you believing a lie. They'll have you trust in it too. 2 and 12. Just go and make it Romans 2 and 6. He said, who will render to every man according to his deeds. To them who by patient continuance and well-doing seek for glory and honor and immortality and eternal life. This man say by patient continuance. He that endures to the end, the same shall be saved. Continual endurance. Patient, continual endurance. See, this is one thing that y'all always got to understand and realize that probably a lot of y'all don't have, and that's patience. You know what I'm saying? You want what you want when you want it. And when it don't come when you want it, you try to push it and make it come. And it ends up blowing up in your face because you just can't wait. You know what I'm saying? And that's just like this here. When you come to dealing with this here, when you come to dealing with y'all's way, boy, this ain't no sprint. You would sit back and look at it. Even when they were walking through the wilderness, that had to be patient continuance of well-doing to get in the land. They were there for 40 years. You know what I'm saying? Only those who continued patiently for that stretch of 40 years were able to make it. And who was the only ones who made it? But those who were 20 years and under, because those who were older didn't have the patience to get there. Now he says, but unto them that are contentious and do not obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness, indignation, and wrath. Well, we just sit back and seen this, and this is the reason why we read this here. Now, we didn't go through all through it, but Hananiah was telling the people that they weren't going to be under the yoke of the king of Babylon but for a certain amount of time, even though the prophecy that was given by Jeremiah was they were going to be there 70 years. You know what I'm saying? So when you rebelling, obviously you being contentious, and obviously you see that indignation and wrath were brought upon him because he said, you're going to die. See, that's the same thing like what Samuel told Saul. He said, you know, obedience is better than sacrifice because stubbornness is as idolatry and rebellion is as witchcraft because he wanted to do what he wanted to do. Therefore, he was contentious against the word of the Most High. See, when y'all say do this and you do opposite, you are in direct opposition to y'all. You have become his enemy. That's why the law say he will repay his enemies to their face to all them that hate him. See, people want to sit back and tell you that you can be disobedient and you still love the man. Ain't nobody got no business throwing the man laws out the window. Ain't nobody got no business throwing this man instructions out the window. What the man say, that's what it is. If you don't like it, it's because you got a problem with him. You know what I'm saying? That's the next thing you say. Tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that do evil, of the Yahudim first, and also of the heathen. That man say, boy, hold on 1 second, y'all. That man say tribulation and wrath to every soul of man that do evil. Well, what's considered evil in the eyesight of y'all? So don't we look at, don't our law say, boy, if you break the Shabbat, you ought to be killed? Don't our law say, boy, if you don't come up for them 3 feasts, he say every male ought to appear. That man say you ought to be cut off from amongst your people. That man say every man that don't afflict his soul in that self same day shall be cut off from amongst his people. We just looked at that the other day. That man say, boy, let that man blood be upon you. Say that man say he commits sin. Let his blood be on you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to tell y'all something. A lot of brothers believe that if you say you preach the law, that you minimizing the Mashiach. But we all here know that we have a lot more wisdom than that to know that, now don't we? If we don't do nothing else, you're going to preach a Mashiach if you don't do nothing else. You know what I'm saying? If you don't do nothing else. If we don't do nothing else, we're going to do that right there. Because he got to be preached. He got to be known in the earth. That righteousness will be proclaimed. All men will know it. That man say, my righteousness will go from one end of the earth to the other. Let's look at verse 10 then. But glory, honor, and peace to every man that work good, to the Yahudim first, and also to the Gentile. For there is no respect of persons with Elohim. For as many as have sinned without the law shall also perish without law. And as many have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. For not the hearers of the law are just before Elohim, but the doers of the law shall be justified. Now you sit back and look at that. Abraham could have heard what Yah told him to do with Isaac and not did it. Would he have been justified before it? Because you got to remember now, what is law? Torah ain't nothing but instructions. He gave him an instruction, didn't it? And he went and did it. And therefore he was justified before Yah because he went and did what he told him to do. So it's no different when this man say 7th-day rest. You know what I'm saying? That's the instruction that he gave you. It's really not that difficult. It's not that simple. This man say keep these feasts. It's that instruction. See, you got a lot of them be like, well, we in captivity. Show me in captivity where they kept the feast. But we done already went through that and known what they did at dinner. So then we know better than that. We know better than that. It is what it is. Come on back to Psalm 71. Matter of fact, we don't even need Psalm 71. We'll just get back to it in a minute. Come on over here to Romans chapter 10 and verse 1. Leah. Lizzie in the bed. She just clocked out, huh? You put her in there. She probably asleep already. Did she take a nap? Yeah, she's probably asleep already. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to Elohim for Yasharal is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal for Elohim, but not according to knowledge. Hold what you got. Hosea chapter 4. He said they don't serve him according to knowledge. You get your Malachi chapter 2 to go with this Hosea chapter 4. You know what we want. Every Hebrew favorite verse. 4 and 6. He said, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. That thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy Elohim. I will also forget thy children. As they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore I will change their glory into shame. This is why Paul turned around and told you in 1 Corinthians 15 and 34 that evil communications corrupt good manners. Some not have the knowledge of Elohim. I speak this to your shame. You know what I'm saying? Because what you think would be for your esteem or for your honor of your uplift is going to be for your shame. You notice when he said because they forgotten the law of Elohim, that was their knowledge, right? Y'all do understand that, right? See, come over here to John 6 and 44 before we even look at Malachi chapter 2. John 6 and 44. How you going to say you love somebody and you serve somebody and then you don't know nothing about them? When the book of Proverbs say clear as day that the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge. So to have respect for his word is the beginning to even know him. Ooh, dangerous life, people. A dangerous game, man. Dangerous game. 6 and 44. Make it 43. Yahusha therefore answered and said unto them, murmur not amongst yourselves. Among yourselves, pardon me. No man can come unto me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, they shall be all taught of Elohim. Every man therefore that have heard and learned of the Father, come unto me. Now, if you've been taught of the Most High, this is why he said, if you would have believed Moses, you would have believed me because he wrote of me. If you would have believed, you think the only thing, you think when he said they believe Moses, if you would have believed Moses, you would have believed me, do you think that means that just cancel out all the stuff written in the law? Even the things that are in the law that pertain to specific ordinances, as we already know from previous exercise or previous usage, we know it's talking about a Mashiach. So if you cancel these things out, you're canceling out the essence, the way it makes Yah Yah. That's why he say, if you have not so done, if you have so learned of a Mashiach and been taught of him. Because if you have been taught of a Mashiach, the only way you could believe in a Mashiach is if you've been taught of the Father. I mean, you would know the law and the prophets. You would walk in it and you would see him clearly. That's why he said in Psalms 119, Open my eyes to behold wondrous things out of thy law, out of thy instruction. The Son came to show you manifest in the flesh the instruction. But a lot of men don't like instruction. You know, he say fools despise instruction, don't they? Fools despise wisdom. Don't tell me what to do, because I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. Come over here, look at Malachi chapter 2 and about verse 7. Then we'll swing to Acts chapter 13, verse 1. So I'm going to tell you something. You better guard your soul. Guard your heart. It's a lot of people coming in. Boy, this stuff getting real. I know y'all read that, probably done read that verse. Make it 2 and 5. I know some of y'all done read that verse in 1st, 2nd Thessalonians chapter 2. You know, that great falling away. But you got to make sure you guard your heart that you don't fall away. Just like me and Little Muffin were talking about. There's a man who was preaching for years. But that man got up and left. Whole family. 1 week they seen him. Next week he was gone. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all like, I'll never do nothing like that. Don't be quick to say what you'll never do, boy. Y'all put you in a position, prove you to be a lie. Because you be around here, sitting around here stewing, thinking about this and thinking about that, and you want this and you want that. You been done went right on after it. And next thing you know, you like this here Yahoo. I know you're going to be just like Pharaoh. I know no such person. You know what I'm saying? Because your heart going to be hardened. And if he don't hard it that way, he going to hard it in a way where you think all you got to do is just believe with no obedience. If you're going to be made perfect, you're going to believe and obey. Malachi 2 and 5. My covenant was with him of life and shalom, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me and was afraid before my name. The law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from iniquity. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of Yahuwah of hope. That means they should seek the instructions at his mouth. How can a man say he's a preacher of Yah and tell people to go against the word? Before we read, go back to Romans 10 and Acts 13. Let's look at 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Second Corinthians chapter 11 and about verse 10. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and about verse 10. As the truth of Hamashiach is in me, no man shall stop me of this boasting in the regions of Achaia. Wherefore, because I love you not, Elohim no. But what I do, that I will do, that I may cut off occasion from them which desire occasion, that wherein they glory, they may be found even as we. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Hamashiach. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into a Malachim of light. Therefore it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. What y'all take from that? Their end gonna be according to their works. Now, don't you know what Mashiach said in Revelation 22, even in Jeremiah 17, that he said according to your works, that's how you're gonna be judged. You know, Paul even told you that in 2 Corinthians 5, that we know the terror of a Mashiach, and that we shall all stand in front of that judgment seat to be judged according to those things that we have done in this body, whether they be good or whether they be evil. Now, if this man killed a man for picking up sticks on the Shabbat, if he told our forefathers that all you had to do was keep the Shabbat in the 23rd chapter of the book of Jeremiah, I want to say, might be 22. He said, all you got to do is keep the Shabbat. You could stay here. And they didn't even want to do that, so he put them out. You know what I'm saying? Or about the fact that the people mourned and wept on the Feast of Tabernacles and Nehemiah when they realized they were dead wrong for not doing it. They didn't sit back and they weren't mourning and weeping because they hadn't done it because they were in captivity. They were mourning and weeping because they realized how stupid they had been. They were mourning and weeping, realizing the mercy of Yah, that I should be eliminated at this time. See, there's something coming to my mind, but let me go over here to Acts 13 though. Acts 13. 13. Out 13 and 4. Matter of fact, make it about 13 and 5. And when they were at Salamis, they preached the word of Elohim in the synagogues of the Yahudim, and they had also John to their minister. And when they had gone through the isle unto Paphos, they found a certain sorcerer, a false prophet, a Yahudim, whose name was Bar Jesus. Don't y'all sit back and y'all realize something, that if he was a sorcerer, what was he then? He was rebellious, which means he was teaching the people to rebel also. Remember, he called him a false prophet. So even though he was coming up, he was transforming himself to be a minister of righteousness, an apostle of Mashiach, but he was a deceitful worker. You know what I'm saying? He finna tell you. Don't worry, Paul finna tell you. He say, which was with the deputy of the country, Sergius Paulus, a prudent man. If he were prudent, what that make him? Know what it mean to be a prudent man? A prudent man is a wise man. Got some sense. You know what I'm saying? He say, who called for Barnabas and Saul and desired to hear the word of Elohim. See, Sergius Paulus wanted to hear the word. But Alamus the sorcerer, for so is his name by interpretation, withstood them, seeking to turn away the deputy from the faith. You see what he doing? He was doing the same thing Hananiah was doing in Jeremiah. I don't want you to take the faith. I'm trying to turn you from it. If he trying to withstand them, you know who he with. Because remember, he say to those who are contentious, wrath and indignation fall on him. Let's see what happened. Then Saul, which is also called Paul, fool with the Ruach HaKodesh, set his eyes on him and said, O fool of all subtlety and all mischief, thou child of the devil, thou enemy of all righteousness, wilt thou not cease to pervert the right ways of Yahuwah? And now behold, the hand of Yahuwah is upon thee, and thou shalt be blind, not seeing the sun for a season. And immediately there fell on him a mist and a darkness, and he went about seeking some to lead him by the hand. Then the deputy, when he saw what was done, believed, being astonished at the doctrine of Yahuwah. So he was astonished at the teaching. Now let's see what happened. What did Paul just call this man? What did he just call him? And mischief. And mischief. If he full of subtlety, that means he full of what? Deceit. He say he's an enemy of righteousness. We need to see what righteousness is before we come back to Romans. Let's go back to Romans chapter 10. I'm reading it for a reason. He's an enemy of righteousness. Anybody that tell you to go against Yah's word is an enemy of righteousness. In any shape, form, or fashion. No matter how big, no matter how small, they are an enemy of righteousness. The reason why we mentioning all this here, because we finna start looking at some people, certain people, because we read in Psalm 71, he said, I will make mention of thy righteousness and thy righteousness only. Just like what we read what Mashiach said in John chapter 7 last night, right? He said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man do his will, he'll know if the doctrine is true or whether I speak of myself. He that seeketh his own speak of himself, seek of his own glory. But he that seek the glory of him that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. Because if there's no unrighteousness in him, that means the word is in him. And we know, is there anything unrighteous about the laws of Yah? No. Is there anything unrighteous about the faith of HaMashiach? No. Romans 10 and 1. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to Elohim for Yasharal is that they might be saved. But I bear them record that they have a zeal of Elohim, but not according to knowledge. This is what ends up coming on. Everybody got a passion for Yah, but not according to how he said to do it. This man has told you specifically, the knowledge of Yah is his law. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge. This is what Proverbs chapter 1 say. We know to fear Yah is to respect him. You respect, who you respect is who you obey. If you're going to obey the man, then you're going to follow his instructions. And you would know how to walk in the Mashiach to make your election sure. But see, these people playing with your life, though. You know what I'm saying? People playing with your life now. He say, for they being ignorant of Elohim's righteousness. And this goes on to something that what Corey mentioned earlier. And are going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of Elohim. For Hamashiach is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believes. So when he say he the end of the law, what does he really mean? He say he the end of the law of righteousness for everyone that believes. What does that mean, gentlemen? Don't go too far with it. It's real simple. When he say the end, he's the end of the law. What does that mean? No, he's just the purpose of the law. It's just what the law was all about. It was about him. That's all it means. See, most people look at that. When they say end, they think that means the law is over with. Because they're going to take the word. Usually when you use the word end, what does that mean? That's the end of the road. That's the end of the song. What does that mean? He was ready. That's why I threw that out there for him. Y'all understand what I'm saying? When you saying something is at the end, you saying that it's over with it. It's complete. You know what I'm saying? But with this end, when he's talking about Hamashiach is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believe, that means he was the purpose of the law. The purpose of the law was to get you to him. You know what I'm saying? You would actually, if you would actually begin to realize and understand something, that your actual obedience to the law would actually should lead you to him, because you should be able to see him, since we already read in John chapter 6 that no man can come to him except the Father drawn, and it's written in the prophets that everyone will be taught Elohim. Therefore, everyone who has been taught and have heard will come unto me. You know what I'm saying? That means if you kept Shabbat, if you did everything the man told you, you would automatically see the Son. You would automatically see him, and you would believe. Does that make sense? Let's keep on going then. Romans 10 and about verse 3 one more time. For Hamashiach is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believes. For Moses described the righteousness which is of the law, that the man which do these things shall live by them. So we need to read that. Let's go to Leviticus 18 and 5, and then we'll go to Deuteronomy 6 and 25. Because the law is righteous. We'll look at Deuteronomy chapter 4 too. Because we ain't going to sit back here and say y'all lying and say his law ain't righteous. Then you've been done called y'all liar. That's bold right there, ain't it? Leviticus 18 and 5. I'll read verse 4 instead. Ye shall do my judgments and keep my ordinances to walk therein. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Matter of fact, back it up to verse 1. Let's just back it up to verse 1. Let's just keep it 100 and just do that right there. Listen to what the man tell you. Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharal and say unto them, I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. After the doings of the land of Mizraim, wherein you dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall you walk in their ordinances. This is why this is important. Proverbs 3 and 31 tells you to envy not your oppressor and choose none of his ways. Now he say everything that these people do in this land, don't do. These people don't have no day of rest in this land. You know what I'm saying? Nowhere. When them people call talking about some Juma on Friday, they still doing everything they want to do. We know this man said in Isaiah 58, you ought to call his Shabbat a pleasure. You know what I'm talking about? That you ought to rejoice in it and seek not your own heart, nor speak your own words, or do none of that, but to rest in that. As I've explained to y'all in the past, and I'm not going into great detail tonight because it's on tape. You can go see it for yourself. Hamashiach is your Shabbat. He is your rest. If you rest in him, then you will cease from committing sin. You will cease from seeking after your own flesh. Don't you realize that that's what the Shabbat was actually pointing you to? That's what you were rehearsing it for? You remember, we done went through this before, haven't we? That's what you were rehearsing it for. He say, cease from all your labor on your work on the Shabbat, right? Don't work on that day. You know what I'm saying? Don't do no work on that day. Just rest. Just rest. He said, not only did he say not you, but your manservant, your maidservant, be everybody. Don't send your ox out there to work. These stupid niggas think because the ox fall in the ditch, he think the ox working. Nigga, the ox got to eat grass and get water too. He like to eat. So you gonna make the ox starve? You gonna make the lamb starve? Niggas ain't got no common sense. Animals eat every, you like to eat every day, don't you?
All the time.
You like to eat every day, don't you? Y'all like to eat every day, don't you? I bet if you got some livestock or some pets, I bet they'll tell you the same if y'all open their mouth to talk. Look at you like this here. Hey, sir, you ain't dropped nothing in that bowl in about 2-3 days, man. What's up with that? I seen you over there eating that fat, juicy steak. I seen what you did to Wilbur, cut him up, eating his lamb chops. I like food. I like food. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all done had dogs and you done forgot to feed that dog how they be looking. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Some of them, if they wise enough, they go to scratching the bowl, don't they? Trying to let you know what's going on. Hey, this thing empty. But what I'm saying, explaining this to you folks, if you would keep the law, then you would have seen a Mashiach in the law. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Listen what he say this here. So the reason why I'm mentioning this here, right? These people ain't got no ordinances. You know what I'm saying? They ordinance say you could be a faggot and get married. They ordinance says you could marry, divorce, and remarry. You know what I'm saying? They ordinance say you can smoke marijuana in the right state. They ordinance say you can get drunk long as you don't drive. You can be drunk as you want. Long as you don't go out in public. Because they'll get you for public intoxication. You know what I'm saying? You stay in the safety of your own home or in a bar, you can get drunk as you want to get. You know what I'm saying? They say you can covet. They teach you to covet other people's lives. That's why they gave you MTV Cribs. That's why they give you the reality show. So you can cover these people's lives and mimic it. You know what I'm saying? That's why they do it, though.
Stop.
You know what I'm saying? They tell you not to steal, but these people got legal ways to steal. You know what I'm saying? The white man in the United States government steal every day. Every day. Know how they steal? The bigger way they steal your tax money. According to their laws, IRS ain't supposed to take no money. That's against the law. Their own constitution say the IRS illegal. So basically, truth be told, the IRS stealing. Wouldn't you agree? Y'all ain't never read the United States Constitution before. IRS is a private corporation. It's not even appointed nor lawful according to these people's own legal paperwork for anyone to do what the IRS is doing. Shoot, the money's even illegal. They stealing. They stole your gold. The law, the United States Constitution say only Congress can commit legal tender, and it must be silver and gold. That's what they law say. So the people stealing, legally stealing. So why you think people come over here and steal? They don't have no problem doing it. United States built fraud. That's why he say don't envy your oppressor, choose none of his ways. And then you also know who your oppressor is. Your oppressor is that wicked one who is full of subtlety. Because he's going to oppress you with death. See, these people want to tell you Yah's laws is oppressing you. Satan and Yah can't be oppressing you. Only one of them can. Both of them can't now. He say, with the spirit of a Mashiach, there is liberty. He say, the words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. All the words that he spoke unto you were the words that were written in the Tanakh and in the Torah. So you telling me that that's not liberty, that's not freedom when it frees you from death? That's the bondage. Nigga had a nerve and audacity to say the law got you in bondage. That's an idiot. I don't care who said it. And I ain't just referring to who y'all think I'm referring to, because Christians teach this every Sunday. You know what I'm saying? That's why them young girls steady coming in there with milk mustaches every Sunday morning. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up and down. That's why the pastor got 3-4 babies. Ain't none of them from his wife. You know what I'm talking about? That's why that nigga, and I'm mentioning it because I just seen the clip. That's why that nigga, whoever that nigga is, I can't remember his name, man. That run with Creflo Dollar. Talking about, yeah, I got a $10,000 dog. That's why that silly nigga can run up and down some money talking about, you want some of this anointing? You put some money up here? Let me put some of this anointing on here. running across these people money that they done threw it up there. You know what I'm saying? Because that's stealing. They robbing them people. You know what I'm saying? You know, that takes some real life skill to rob somebody and not lift no pistol up, to make somebody willfully give you their money. You know what I'm saying? Like this here. No, he telling me a bold-faced lie, but that nigga finna get this type. Look at him. He putting some anointing on that money. That mean we gonna get that back 100-fold. What anointing coming off this nigga boot? That man stood in front of them people and say, yeah, I got a $10,000 dog, nigga, and what? Nigga, you bought that. Them people sitting out there bought that $10,000 dog. This man was literally, I think his name Leroy Sutton. That man was standing in front of them people, mocking them people for being poor. That damn Creflo Dollar and that Leroy nigga once said out their mouth, both of them, that you would burn in hell if you wasn't rich. But you imagine how many people sitting in there looking like, boy, I guess I'm done then. Say, it don't make no difference. I just had sex with three married men. You know what I'm saying? I ain't talking about no boys now. I'm talking about some women. We know it's some men out here doing it too. Because I told Troy this the other day. I'm telling you now, all these download niggas out here now, where y'all laughing, boy, it's some men around here talking about, boy, I just had sex with 3 married men. And you went around and kissed that nigga in the mouth. You know what I'm talking about? He got chocolate icing all in his face. Straight up and down. But in all seriousness though, when you tell people stuff like that, what they have in their mind, that, oh, if I'm poor, I'm going to hell. Not that I'm a liar and a thief and extortioner and malicious and spiteful. You know what I'm talking about? Downright evil, rebellious and stubborn. But that's just because I'm not paid. But this is the ordinances of the people around you. He told you not to be like them. He instructed you clearly and plainly. That's why he say, all the ordinances that you did in Mizraim, don't do them no more. All the stuff you did when you were mired in sin, those things that you were once ashamed, where you ain't have no fruit in them, don't do it no more. Verse 4. But listen what he tell you ought to do. He said, you shall do my judgments and keep mine ordinances to walk therein. I am Yahuwah your Elohim. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am Yahuwah. If you keep the word, you ought to walk in the word. You know, Nehemiah said, if you sin against the man's judgments, you're going to live in them. Don't y'all sit back and realize that when people who teach against the man's laws, teach against the man's ways, teach against the path of Kadesh, that they live in that? A constant state of iniquity. Let's look at Deuteronomy 6 and 25. Hey, little buddy. You're going to be crawling about a week and a half, ain't it, man? 6 and 25. Make it 24. Yahuwah commanded us to do all the... Who commanded us to do it? Did Moses command you to do it? Yah commanded you to do it. Yah commanded us to do all these statutes to fear Yah Elohim for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is this day. Hold what you got. Look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 1. He said it would be your good for you to obey this man's word. We already read in Romans, that man say indignation and wrath upon all those who don't obey. Verse 7, he say it's the doers, not the hearers, that's going to be just. Abraham already showed you that there with Isaac. Because regardless if you want to look at it or not, when that man told him go sacrifice your son, that was law. That was an instruction. Don't you know it would have been a consequence for Abraham if he wouldn't have done it? He says, verse 6, I should say, make it 5. Which is a manifest token of the righteous judgment of Elohim, that you be counted worthy of the kingdom of Elohim, for which ye also suffer. Seeing it's a righteous thing with Elohim to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. And to you who are troubled, rest with us, when the Master Yahusha shall be revealed from Shamahim with his mighty Malachim, in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not Elohim, and that obey not the good news of our Master Yahusha HaMashiach, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of a Mashiach and from the glory of his power. Do you realize he said that obey not the good news? So you know they realize they're going to say, see, the good news is him. It's him. Well, if you preaching him, you'll be preaching the law. And if you preaching the law, a man ought to believe that and obey it, because that will be walking in him. That man said he going to destroy those that obey it not. How you going to get around that? How you going to get around that? See, look at Acts chapter 7 real fast. Not Acts chapter 7, my apologies. Hebrews chapter 4. He said that those that know not Elohim. How do you know Elohim, gentlemen? How you know Yah? How you know the Most High? Indeed, I mean, the word says, if you say you know him and keep not his commandments, you are a liar, the truth ain't in it. Hamashiach say, I know him, therefore I keep his sayings. See, that's what they just got right there. Hamashiach say, I know him, I keep his sayings. That means the things that are written in the law, I do that. You know, Hebrews chapter 3 say Moses was faithful in all his house. Moses did what Yah told him, like we already said, save for one thing. And that was speaking to the rock. He didn't break none of the man's laws, though. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't around here breaking no Shabbat. He wasn't around here messing with no punks. He wasn't sleeping with nobody's wife. He wasn't fornicating. He wasn't stealing. Moses kept every feast, didn't he? Hamashiach kept every feast, didn't he? Even when his brothers say, man, you ain't coming up for tabernacles, he made him think he wasn't coming. He was there, though. And guess how long he was there? The whole 8. You know what I'm saying? He didn't show up for a day and dip. He was there. Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 1. Let us therefore fear, lest a promise being left of us entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it. For unto us was the gospel preached as well as unto them. But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with the faith in them that heard it. So guess what? You wonder why some people leave and they don't get no gain? Because they didn't believe it. You know what time period he's referencing here in Hebrews chapter 4 when he speak this. You know what he's referring back to, right? Y'all know what he's referring back to? Y'all don't know what he referring back to? He talking about when they were in the wilderness. When they were in the wilderness, were there not some that believed? Were there not some that believed not? So therefore, those who believe not, did they enter into rest?
Oh, what's that matter?
No, they did not.
What's that matter?
Well, like I told y'all last night, when we look at Moses, Moses only spoke of the righteousness of Yahuwah. He only made mention of that. We're going to get back to Psalm 71. I'm trying to show you something. So as we look at walking in the law, right, that's the righteousness of Yahuwah, then, ain't it? But that's not the righteousness of Yahuwah that he was seeking for our justification. Because see, in the 32nd chapter of Deuteronomy, he said that these are sons or children who have no faith. You know what I'm saying? They don't believe me. That's what he was looking after. Don't you realize that's what justified Caleb and Yahushua, son of Nun? He said they had a different spirit with them because they believed him. So that means not only will they sit back and look at when they went through and they surveyed the land. They went and did everything y'all told them to do because they believed what y'all said. See, you're not going to do nothing. Of course you're not going to keep no Shabbat. Of course you're not going to keep no feast. Of course you're going to remarry after you've been divorced. Of course you're going to tell lies. Of course you're going to lust. Of course you're going to fornicate. When you don't believe it. Because you actually don't believe that there's a punishment for what you're doing. You actually enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. You understand what I'm saying? They don't hear me though. Come on back to Romans chapter 10 though. What is that? Is that a romper? Like the romp. Romans 10 and 6. So we see how Moses, hold on, my apologies. Deuteronomy chapter 4. We got to read Deuteronomy chapter 4 so a nigga can know they going straight to hell. You know what I'm talking about? Speak against y'all, you ought to go straight to hell. No pass go. You know what I'm saying? Just move your little thimble straight to the jail. Just stay there. I'm for real. This your new home. You can come in here and you can stay in here with the squirrel master. Deuteronomy 4 and 6. Y'all know what I'm talking about? The squirrel master? And then you're going to be in there, no, Nasty Nate. No, Nasty Nate. Nasty Nate say, I want your fruit cup. You talk about forbidden jungle of love. Hey, he said, I'm somebody's female dog. Well, no, that's from Half Baked. He thought that was Pootie Tang. Man, he said, no, Nasty Nate. He's sitting there with a calendar with a black man with some leopard print drawers on, Xing out his genitalia. No, Nasty Nate. Forbidden jungle of love.
No.
You know what I'm saying? You like this here. You know, and he wants my fruit cup. That's what's going to happen to him. Somebody wants your fruit cup. You know what I'm saying? But verse 5 of Deuteronomy chapter 4. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahuwah my Elohim commanded me, that you should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. Oh, my land. Who taught it to him? So that means this ain't Moses' law. Moses just ascribed to it because he was a lawgiver. So that's again referring to what we were talking about last night, that the Mashiach had to teach the law, because in order for him to be a prophet like unto Moses, he would have to be a lawgiver as well, because Moses was one. If a Mashiach does not give law, then he's not a prophet like unto Moses. That therefore means the scriptures have lied, and we are all men without hope. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. That's what y'all got to realize. When you keep the man law, it's show anybody who don't want to do what the man say and follow the book is showing they lack understanding. You know what the opposite of wise is? You a fool. This was what allowed us for people to see that we're a wise and understanding people, by our obedience to the man's righteous statutes and judgment. Hold on. For what nation is there so great who have an Elohim so nigh unto them as Yahuwah Elohim is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? Ooh, boy. That means the law would be righteous then. So the law is righteous, but that's not Yah's righteousness though. The law is right, because Paul's making a difference between the two, right? Moses described the righteousness of the law. Come back to Romans chapter 10 and verse 6 then. He say, but the righteousness which is of faith speaketh on this wise. Say not in thy heart, who shall ascend into Shamahim, that is to bring a Mashiach down from above, or who shall descend into the deep, that is to bring up a Mashiach again from the dead. But what saith it? The word is nigh thee, even in thy mouth, even in thy heart. That is the word of faith, which we preach. So when we turn around again, this is going back to what we talked about last night. For Abraham to believe, that means he had to be taught. The word had to be preached to him. He believed what Yah told him all the way back in Genesis chapter 12 when he told him, get up from amongst his people. That was an instruction for him to do. That was law for him. He followed it. You know what I'm saying? So you know when he came across through Melchizedek, Melchizedek put the law on it. Because we already know from Malachi chapter 2 what we just looked at. The priest's lips should keep knowledge and the people should seek the law at his mouth. What you think Abraham got from his mouth? How to cook baked cakes? You know what I'm saying? How to farm? How to carry cattle? Yeah, we seen it. How to pitch quarters. Let's see who can get it closest to the rock. You win the quarter. You know what I'm saying? Niggas are retarded. Outright retarded. So when we turn around and we look at it, Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 4. Again, get you Romans chapter 1. One way or another, I got to swing back to Psalm 71 and knock it out the box. He said that's the righteousness which is of faith, which is what justified Abraham with Yah, because he said he deemed him righteous because he believed. As we already read in James chapter 2, he was determined to be a friend of Elohim because he believed in him. Because he believed in him, I'm going to set forth on this journey. If I can get around that, we might get something going on. There we go. 2 and 1, I'll say. And it says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahuwah answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables, that he may run that read it. I want you to think about verse 1, what that sound like to y'all. I'll stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. What does that mean to y'all? What does that mean to y'all? Don't everybody answer at one time now. Well, let's look back and let's look and see. Let's come back to Psalm 71 real fast. You hold this Habakkuk chapter 2. Get ready to wind this on down. When we looked in Psalm 71, right? And we started, at about verse 6. And, we see in verse 7, he said he was a wonder. But that Yah is his strong refuge. And that his enemies spake against him, and they lay wait for my soul and take counsel together. They say, Elohim forsaken him. Let's take him. Ain't nobody to deliver him. And he said, all those who did that, let them be confounded and consumed, because they were adversaries to his soul, and let them be covered with dishonor and reproach who sought my hurt. Because he said, what shall I answer when I am reproved? He said, but I will hope continually and praise thee more and more, and only my mouth will show forth thy righteousness salvation, and I will go in the strength of Yah. I will only make mention of thy righteousness and thy righteousness only. When we turn around and look at it, he'll stand upon his watch and set him upon the tower. Come on round here to Matthew chapter 27. He say, watch to see what he will say unto me. What shall I answer when I am reproved? Well, let's look at Matthew 27. And when we get to Matthew chapter 27, let's look at about verse 38. And when we look at Matthew 27 and 38, then there were 2 thieves crucified with him on the right hand and on the left. And they that passed by reviled and wagging their heads, saying that thou destroy the temple and build it in 3 days. Save thyself, if thou be the son of Elohim. Come down from the tree. Likewise also the chief priests mocking him, and the scribes and the elders said, he saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the king of Yasharal, let him now come down from the tree, and we will believe him. He trusted in Elohim, let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, I am the son of Elohim. Don't you realize he say, set me upon my watch? Don't you realize why he up there on that tree? Ain't he on his watch? Ain't he up there in the tower? Because towers are high in him. Don't you realize in the book of Psalms, he say, Elohim looked down upon from the Shamahim to see if there was any that understood. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Don't you realize when he was sitting down looking on them people to see if there was any of them that understood? He said, what will they answer me when I am reproved? When he was reproved, what did he say? My power, why have thou forsaken me? You know what I'm saying? Because while he up there on that cross, he's being reproved. He's actually being the rebuke or the correction for all men. He was being chastised. What evil did he do? All these people sought to be his hurt, and they all spoke against him, right? And then they said, let his blood be on our children's children, right? So that would be a dishonor and a reproach. I'm going to tell you something. Come over here and look at 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Because the same brother I seen that telling people not to keep the feast, they say they keep a Mashiach supper, though. That make any sense to y'all? We ain't gonna keep none of the feast. We just gonna keep this right here.
Put that down.
11:23. That make any sense to y'all? So I ain't gonna keep unleavened bread. I'ma just drink the blood, drink the wine, and eat the bread. No, nigga, you didn't want to get drunk. That's what you want to do. You know what it is. You got about 5 bottles of Mogan David in the bike. Might be like how Brittany was. Go get us some Arbor Mist. You know that cheap wine get you drunk real fast. Matter of fact, we take it even further. Niggas got Mad Dog 2020. Some of you niggas know that was, some of y'all know that was y'all first liquor. Run into the corner store, get you some MD 2020. A real wino. Huh? What? You know that's an old basic drink. That's a poor nigga drink too. He ain't got no money. He want to get drunk. He want some wine. He go get him some Mad Dog 2020. Put him in that brown paper bag, sit on that corner. He good and drunk. Some of you niggas probably around here drinking Thunderbird. I know you don't know what it is. You know what that is? Thunderbird. You don't want to know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
This is the vehicle, man.
Just like I told you all the other day. Some of you niggas was around here on that Steel Reserve. You were drinking Steel Reserve, boy?
I don't know what
That's that 211. That's that 211. Big steel can. Boy, nigga drink a big old beer like that. They'll know he a drunk.
that is. I don't drink that.
I ain't drink beer neither, but you like you a bull every now and then. Didn't you? A bull.
Bull, Red Bull?
Schlitz malt liquor, the bull. Thought you were Billy D with that. Ain't that something how they do black people? They had Billy D. Williams selling nigga liquor. Malt liquor. This who selling nigga Schlitz malt liquor, the bull. Billy D. Williams. Got a nigga think if Billy D drink it, I'm going to be smooth and cool like Billy D. The women going to want me like Billy D. I bet you Billy D ain't around here drinking no malt liquor. Nigga, they don't sell malt liquor nowhere but in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Nigga ain't seen no St. Ives in years. I bet we go in the hood, we see old St. Ives. Bet we go out there to Argyle somewhere. You know what I'm talking about? Bet you don't see no St. Ives, no malt liquor. White folks don't want no Colt 45. No King Cobra. (11:23). 1 Corinthians. For I have received of Amashiach that which also I delivered unto you, that the Master Yahusha, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, Take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, This cup in the New Testament in my blood, this do ye, as oft as you drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show Hamashiach's death till he come. Wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink the cup of Hamashiach unworthily shall be guilty of the body and the blood of Hamashiach. Don't you realize, same people, that subtlety? Don't you realize, man, if you walking contrary to this man's word and you taking part in that supper, man, that you, how else you gonna show yourself unworthy? See, come on. Philippians chapter 1. Little Bud is upset right now. Philippians 1 and about 5. Let me make sure that's what I want. That's sorry, pie apologies. Colossians 1 and about 5. That's what I desire.
Did you say pie apologies?
Probably.
Did you say pie apologies?
Yeah, the pie apologize too. Bunny. Colossians 1 and 5. Make it 4. Since we have heard of your faith in Yahushua HaMashiach and of the love which you have to all the Kodeshim, for the hope which is laid up for you in Shamahim, wherefore you heard before in the word of truth of the gospel, which is come unto you as it is in all the world, bringing forth fruit, as it doth also in you, since the day you heard of it and knew the grace of Elohim in truth. So to know the grace of Elohim in truth is to know what he's done for us. We done went through this before that. We know it wasn't by any works of righteousness which we did. See, that's what we turn around looking at to know the difference between the righteousness which is of the law and the righteousness which is of faith. The saving of the obeying of the law is righteous in itself. But that's not the righteousness of Yahuwah. The righteousness of Yahuwah is to believe. Because then you'll realize the blood of Hamashiach was a free gift. It was nothing that you did that got you that. You understand what I'm telling you? It's nothing that you did to get that. That's where you got to know the difference between the two. Because the law is righteous. We done determined that out the mouth of 3 witnesses. He say, but the law which is of faith speak on this wise. Or the righteousness which of the faith speak on this wise. He said the law is not far from thee, the way you can't go to the Shamahim and say Hamashiach come down or go pull him up out of the grave. He say it's near to you. And he quoting the law when he say this. He quoting Deuteronomy 30 when he say this in Romans 10. This is where it comes from. He say the law is not far from you, it's near to you, it's in your mouth and it's in your heart. Because if it's in your mind, then it'll come out your mouth, which means the only righteousness you would speak is you would only mention the name of Yahuwah and Yahuwah only and the things that are pleasing to him. You wouldn't speak your own ways, you wouldn't speak your own words, you wouldn't seek your own ways. Just like I mentioned to you, you would rest in the Mashiach, which means you would be resting in the Shabbat every day. See, these dudes will sit back and realize something. There's a reason why this man told you take a day off. You turn around and you look at it, man. Christians, they so-called Shabbat and Sunday, they do whatever they want to do on that day. Whatever they want to do. Ain't no rest from their labors. They not learning any discipline or anything from this. Muslims, they Jumu'ah is on Friday. They don't get nothing from it. Then, you know, you got Israelites with their lunar Shabbat and, you know what I'm saying, all that type of stuff. But the purpose of the Shabbat was to teach you that if you can cease from doing your own thing one day a week, you can do it every day. If you don't even have the discipline to cease what you want to do one day out the week, it's going to be impossible for you to cease from doing what you want to do the other 6. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all don't really realize that that's what that's supposed to be teaching you. That's why I say Hamashiach told him, I'm the master of the Shabbat. The Shabbat was made for man, not man for the Shabbat. It was to teach you something. Same way Hamashiach, you weren't made for Hamashiach. Hamashiach was made for you because he your rest. He did not make you for this man. He made this man for you. But niggas too stupid to realize that. That's why he told them that. Say the Shabbat was made for man, not man for the Shabbat. You know what I'm saying? The Shabbat was to teach you something. That when a Mashiach came and he spoke of rest and ceasing from your labors, it would click in your brain. You will remember what Isaiah told you in the 58th chapter. You will remember what Exodus 31 say. You will remember what Exodus 20 say. You will remember what Ezekiel 20 say. You would remember these things. It would click into your mind. It would make sense why you are doing what you're doing. That's why I like this here, man. I say, man, brother told me, say, man, we all get puffed up. Good, all these precepts. How many times I told you don't get puffed up by the information you have? You ever heard me say that before? Plenty of times, huh? The reason being because you know what can happen? You thinking, yeah, boy, we knowing this, we hearing this, and that's not the objective of why we hearing all that. The objective is to know why you believe what you believe so you can execute flawlessly. It's about execution. He plays sports. He know your coaches might go over a game plan over and over and over again. You might end up playing an opponent that you think you're completely superior than and that you shall destroy. You know what I'm saying? And usually when you get that amped up, sometimes you might lose because you underestimate somebody. You know what I'm talking about? You come out there thinking it's going to be a cakewalk and them boys ready to play. Then next thing you know, they done hit you with a blitz and you all battling because you can't believe this just happened. Because we were supposed to mollyhawk them boys because you thought they just were going to lay down because you thought you were better than them instead of sticking to your preparation. See, champions stick to their preparation. You know what I'm saying? When you sit back and thinking on a football level, when you look at Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and players like that, even Jerry Rice, I mean, you look at baseball with pitchers like, well, at least batters like Manny Ramirez, whether he was on steroids or not, and Barry Bonds, they were very well prepared. You know what I'm saying? When Barry Bonds stepped in that batter's box, he knew exactly what pitches threw and when they like to throw them, and at what particular count, he knew what pitch you like to go to. Therefore, he would never be caught off guard because I'm well prepared. I know what to expect from you. You know what I'm saying? Our whole objective of learning the Yah is to know him. Then we know him, we know what to expect. That way, if anybody was to come with anything that was contrary to that, we would know if they were from Yah or not. You know what I'm saying? If somebody came and told me I ain't got to keep the Shabbat, I already know you not of y'all. If anybody come tell me you ain't got to keep them draconian laws, I already know you not of y'all. Because there's no way any parent would send somebody. There's no way a parent would make rules. Then because you didn't obey the rules, I'm going to get rid of the rules. Even though I'm going to leave the rules written on the refrigerator. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep them right there. You can see them. You can see these my rules, but you ain't got to pay attention to them. If I ain't got to pay attention to them, I just scrap them then. Well, you wouldn't even have access to see them. You wouldn't even know they existed. Because you know what that'll do for a child? That would confuse them, wouldn't it? You saying I ain't got to do this, but yet they still here with me. Don't you even realize, even with your parents, it wasn't what you made you just right with your parents when you did what they told you to do. It's the fact if I told you there was a reward or a consequence for obeying or disobeying, you showed forth. It was more pleasing than the fact that I told you, son. You didn't know if you were going to get this reward or not. I could have been lying to you for all you knew. But you trusted me enough to believe that I was going to do what I said I was going to do. You know what I'm saying? That's what y'all want. 1 and 6. I'm sorry, 1 and 7. As you have learned of Epaphras, our dear fellow servant, who is for you a faithful minister of Mashiach, who have also declared unto us your love in the Ruach. For this cause we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you, and desire that you might be filled with the knowledge of his will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding. To be filled with the knowledge of his will. How will you be filled with the knowledge of his will? How will you get the knowledge of his will? You ain't going to get the knowledge of his will through obedience. You're going to get the knowledge of his will by being taught his word. That's the only way you're going to get. How you going to have, before you knew anything about anything, did you have any of y'all had any knowledge of his will? His will is the things that he won't done, correct? This is my will, meaning this is what I want done. That's what that means, right? When you say this is my will. This is what I want done, right? So when this man lay out all these instructions and all these specific things, that means this is what he want done. Then he say to give you spiritual understanding. So that means all these things that he want done, there's a spiritual understanding to it. We done sat back and look at we'll take all the feasts, for example. I just use them as an example. We know if we keep unleavened bread. We know that unleavened bread is about what? Casting out leaven out of your house for 7 days, right? Eating a lamb on the first day. That lamb signifying the lamb that was offered, that redeemed the people out of Egypt. Well, we know the spiritual understanding of keeping that feast is, this was pointing to a Mashiach who would free us from sin. The throwing out of leaven out of the house is a spiritual understanding of us removing sin out of our mortal bodies, that we would no longer fulfill the lust thereof. So then we come up to Pentecost and we look at this as the Feast of First Fruits. And we realize that this is referring to the first fruits of those who receive the Ruach HaKodesh. Okay then. And then we turn around and we look at our trumpets. And we look at trumpets as signifying the return of a Mashiach and the gathering of the people. And the calling for war. And then we look at atonement. And then we turn around and we look at the spiritual understanding of that when we afflict in our soul, this is symbolic of a Mashiach afflicting his soul that he might be heard on high, that the things that the people needed to be redeemed, they could get it. And then we look at tabernacles and we look at the spiritual understanding of dwelling in booths. It wasn't about dwelling in no tent. It was about dwelling in the Son and being brought in the land to dwell with him in the everlasting, to dwell back in the land, to be gathered into the land. And that the booths were showing you that you had a place to dwell, even in the midst of iniquity. So now we have knowledge of his will, therefore we get a spiritual understanding through a Mashiach. Same way we look at the Shabbat, as I already explained. He your rest. So therefore, if you learning that he your rest, then you would rest from doing your own works, like the Most High did from his, and as he instructed you to do on the weekly Shabbat by not doing your own thing. So guess what that means? You get a spiritual understanding of this. When he tell you, thou shalt not commit adultery, and that if you put away your wife and marry another, you commit adultery. Well, then we get the spiritual understanding of knowing that he put his wife away, but then he devised the means to take his wife back. And therefore, he did not commit adultery. When we look at honor your father and your mother, we turn around and we look at this, that Hamashiach did that. Not only in the natural, but in the spiritual as well. Because he honored Jerusalem, which is the mother of us all. And he honored his father in the Shamahim by keeping his sayings. When we turn around and we look at not coveting, we see the people coveted Hamashiach's place in the nation and the rule and ended up killing the man behind it. So we get the spiritual understanding on why not to do that. You follow what I'm saying? See, well, when you had a knowledge of his will, that's when the spiritual understanding can come, which means they shall all be taught of Yah, and those who've been taught of Yah and learned of Yah going to come to a Mashiach, because they would have the knowledge of his will, and therefore they would see the spiritual understanding that he gave in Luke 24 when he calls them to understand the scriptures. Okay, then. Verse 10. Listen what he said. Now, I'm going to read 9 again. For this cause we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you, and desire that you might be filled with the knowledge of his will and all wisdom and spiritual understanding, that you might walk worthy of a Mashiach unto all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of Elohim. Let's look at 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21. That means to walk worthy, we need to see what it would be to walk worthy then. You can't be walking worthy of a Mashiach doing what you want to do. That's insane. That's insane. You know what ends up happening? Because he said you'll continue increasing and bearing fruit. Because if that seed would have fell in your heart and died, and therefore because it died, it's going to bring forth fruit. That means you will steadily continue to grow in the word. That's why you see people get stagnated in the word and stop. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't no increase. It ain't no fruit being bare because you ain't died. 2:21. For even hereunto were you called, because of Mashiach also suffered for us, leaving us example that we should follow his steps, who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth, who when he was reviled not again, and when he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him that judged righteously. Same thing you heard in Psalm 71. But you see what he said? To walk worthy of a Mashiach, if we're going to follow his steps, that means ain't no committing sin. We can't earnestly and honestly look somebody in the eyes and tell them that it's all right for you to do opposite of what this man did. That makes absolutely no sense. He say, lift up a standard to the people. We're going to go back to Habakkuk 2. But he sit back and you look at it. The man said, clear as day, I set up in my watch and in my tower. This is talking about a Mashiach being put up on that tree. He said after that, he say, write the vision on the table and write it in the book. Come on back to that chapter right now. Now what we talking about here is the righteousness. Y'all know that we preach the righteousness of faith all the time. Wouldn't y'all agree? What y'all think? I ain't gonna say would you agree. Do y'all believe we preach the righteousness of faith and the righteousness of the law, or we just preach the righteousness of the law? Or do we do both? Because Yah is righteous altogether. His judgments are true altogether. 2 and 2. And Yahuwah answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables, that he may run that read it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. We turn around and we just looked at this last night, right? What was Noah described as? What was Noah described? He was described as perfect, and what else? As blameless, just. So he basically said the blameless live by their faith. That's basically what he just said. You know what I'm saying? That's what he just said. We see Noah was blameless, and then he was told to do something. He believed and he did it. So he lived by that faith. He exercised it. We already sit back and look at Abraham, blameless, lived by his faith. He exercised it. You know what I'm saying? You have to turn around and look at that. You ought to live by your faith. Now, he said that same word of faith that we preach. Come back to Deuteronomy 30. You see where you get it from before we come over here to Romans chapter 1. Deuteronomy 30 and 14. Make it 11. I'll make it 10. Egbert. $30 and 10. If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah the Elohim to keep his commandments and his statutes which are written in the book of this law, and if thou turn unto Yahuwah the Elohim with all thy heart and with all thy soul, for this commandment which I command thee this day, it's not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. It is not in Shamahim that thou shouldst say, who shall go up for us to Shamahim and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. Neither is it beyond the sea, that thou shouldst say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou may do it. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, death and evil. So if he say the word is very near to you for you to do it, that means he talking about this law then. So if he's saying that the word of faith, that means when you heard the word should have resonated in your mind and it should have stayed there. That's why he told you make no mention of any other gods but me, because you should only be speaking. When you turn around, you look at Christians, they speak of Jesus. They speak of Jehovah. You know what I'm talking about? They're not speaking of the righteousness of Yah and Yah only. When you look at Muslims, they speak of Allah and Muhammad. Buddhists speak. I seen a dude talking about this law that a Mashiach or the law had Buddhist and Hindu principles. How? How? How are we even going to take the righteousness of Yah and ascribe it to a butt-naked nigga in his drawers? To an elephant god? To Vishnu? To Shiva the Destroyer? How are we going to give credit for that? He said, I will not give my praise to graven images. He ain't going to give it to nobody else. He only gave that praise and glory to one person. And that's a Mashiach. Yahushua HaMashiach. That's who he gave it to. Come over here to Romans chapter 1, man. About verse 16. You know, in the book of Psalms, it's written that I have believed, therefore I have spoken. You know what I'm saying? If you believe, therefore you would speak on the word, you would obey the word, you would keep it close, near and dear to your heart. He said, Romans 1:16, for I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Mashiach, for it is the power of Elohim unto salvation to everyone that believe, to the Yahudim first and also to the Greek. For therein is the righteousness of Elohim revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. Now I'm going to sit back and I'm going to show you something. Come over here to Matthew. I think it's about 20 that I desire. Male 21 actually. 21 and 31. He say the just will live by their faith. He say, whether of them twain did the will of his father. They said unto him the first. Yahushua saith unto them, truly I say unto you that the publicans and harlots go into the kingdom of Elohim before you. For John came unto you in the way of righteousness, and ye believed him not. But the publicans and harlots believed him. And ye, when you had seen it, repented not afterward that you might believe. Don't you realize that when they seen John the Baptist, he was preaching, the people were confessing their sins and repenting and turning from breaking this man's laws, statutes, and commandments? The only reason they would have turned from that is because when the word was preached, they believed it. So then after they heard that man's word, don't you think they lived by that? Or you think they just went right back to doing what they were doing? See, look at Luke chapter 7 about verse 47. See, that's what it come down to. If a lot of these brothers believe, he said he came to them in the way of righteousness. Who did John the Baptist, who did Yachanan and Mercer come speaking of? Of himself. He said, I come to make the path for Mashiach. Ain't that what he told them? He said, I'm the one screaming in the wilderness. I'm just coming to make a way. The way is the way of righteousness. He said, I'm coming to set it up. I'm just coming up to set up the messenger of the covenant. So you could be washed with fuller soul. You know what I'm talking about? To be an acceptable sacrifice that might be received in righteousness. Because you already know the law say, don't bring me no sacrifice with no spot or blemish. That's unrighteous. I don't want it. He said the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination unto Yahuwah. Even more if he bring it with a wicked heart. You know what I'm saying? These dudes sit back and look at I'm making sacrifices for y'all because I love. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of things like this. Man, I'm going to tell you something. You know, I earnestly believe, like, man, you know some widows and some orphans. You know what I'm talking about? Hey, look out for them. You know what I'm talking about? You know, feed the poor and all that type of stuff. And it might be some people do a lot more of that than we might. But guess what, though? We're going to be standing on y'all's word, though. You know what I'm talking about? If you sit back and be like, well, I feed more homeless than you. Hey, I ain't mad at you, brother. Do your thing. I ain't going to speak down on it. But we standing over here with you. See, we don't believe and we don't. Hey, man, that's you, though. That's you, though. Nobody couldn't come to me and say that, like, brother, say, how many homeless people, strangers you bringing in your house? Nigga, I ain't bringing in and everybody in my house. Nigga, that's crazy. Niggas crazy out here. Some of y'all got wives and children. You know you ain't finna pick no random nigga up off the street, bring him in your house. You know what I'm saying? We could set something up. You could get some lodging somewhere. You know what I'm talking about? Well, I ain't finna. Come on, man. If you got daughters, you just gonna bring old random nigga in your house. Catch this nigga in the room. Now I'm going to prison for life because I done castrated him for the state got him. You know what I'm saying? You know, there was a time period. You know, we done looked at that before. You know, we brought people in. Hey, man, come on, stay here. But boy, this 2015, man. Finna have no sinner in my house. You know what I'm saying? This nigga capable of doing anything. So he can turn it, but there's some good people out here. Yeah, it is. I get your hotel room. We got a little extra dollars. We get you somewhere to sleep. Better get out for checkout time, though, because I ain't coming back. You know what I'm saying? I'm for real, though. I'm for real, though. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with doing it. But even if you do that, y'all bless you for that good work, but you still going to hell, you outside his will, though. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to do something, man, do it all the way right. I know now, I'm not, like, I seen a brother mention that because what he was talking about is, you know it's October, right? So you know the Hebrew niggas finna go 100 miles and running by Halloween. You know what I'm saying? If a nigga don't know Halloween or the devil yet, they ain't never gonna know. What don't you think? I ain't finna be posting about it. Boy, I ain't posted about a holiday in about 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? For what? Nigga talking about we ought to boycott Christmas. Nigga, I don't keep it no way, so shoot. I've been boycotting Christmas for over a decade. Even for the word, so it made no difference. Oh, don't go like we boycotting Thanksgiving. Nigga, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving. No way. I don't celebrate Halloween. No way. I was with T the other day. She was trying to figure out how Kingston do by Halloween. He seen something that said Halloween. She was like, how he know about it? Ain't no telling though. You see it somewhere. And they remember stuff. You know, he sharp as a knife, so he probably seen it, ain't never forgot it. You know what I'm talking about? But that these people stuff, man. But that go along to not keeping their ordinances. You know what I'm saying? Not doing what they do. You turn around and you look at it as you really look at it like, man, we got our kids out here dressed up like clowns. You know what I'm talking about? Walking them to people door talking about trick or treat. Then we turn around and look at it. What does that really mean to say trick or treat? What kind of trick? What kind of treat? You know what I'm talking about? It's some crazy. You know it's crazy when they say you need to check the candy before you eat it. I felt like people should have been locked up for giving out packs of candy corn. Had no kids come to nobody door giving out no candy corn. Then my granddaddy used to drop pennies in the kids' bag. They come to the door with pennies. You know what I'm saying? You cut your porch light off so the little kids know not to knock on the door. The bastards come anyway. You know what I'm saying? You know they gonna come around here to y'all right this here. Trick or treat. They be like this here. I'm gonna give you a trick, all right. You been tricked, you serving the devil. The treat is you better repent. That's your trick and here's your treat. You know what I'm talking about? Straight.
Yeah, I see that's what you do.
Straight up.
Everybody that comes through, you open the door and say that.
Trick or treat. The trick, you serving Satan. The treat is y'all loves you. You better stop sinning. That's the treat. Do you know what I'm talking about? Give you a trick or treat, all right. You've been tricked. You know the word part here? Grown people get dressed up and go have Halloween party. Big grown rusty nigga talking about what costume you gonna wear. You're 37. You're 37 going to get a costume. Grown people get dressed up to go to work. Ain't nobody saying, but it's for the kids though. But yet grown niggas go harder for it than the kids do. I know some of y'all seen that story where somebody got his son dressing up like the little fairy off Frozen. Got him in a dress. Man, that white man need to be punched in his throat. Then I had to remember, he European, shoot, man. He ain't got no law. He don't think nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? I know this here, even if I was in the world. If I was like this here, his wife supposed to slap him. Standing here, you got my son and he want to be his favorite character. Honey, that's a dress. That's what he want to be. Now you supposed to be the man. Are you gay? Have I married the wrong man? You got something you want to tell me? Think around here dumpster diving. Luke 7:44. And he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, see thou this woman, I entered into thy house, and thou gave me no water for my feet. But she hath washed my feet with tears and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou gave me no kiss, but this woman since the time I came in have not ceased to kiss my feet. Mine head with oil thou did not anoint, but this woman have anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins are forgiven. Her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same love little. And he said unto her, thy sins are forgiven. And they that sat at meat with him began to say within themselves, who is this that forgives sins also? And he said to the woman, thy faith hath saved thee. Go in peace. Now you know why that happened? Because you know in Isaiah 52 it say, how beautiful are the feet of them who bring the gospel of peace and who bring glad tidings. You know what I'm saying? She knew who he was. So she believed. But then it's a key thing, and this is also quoting Proverbs chapter 10 and about verse 12. You know what I'm saying? That love covers a multitude of sins. You know what I'm saying? So they're looking at, see, all you got to do is love, love, love. You got to love Yah first. You can't love man before you love Yah. If you love Yah, then you'll love man. You know what I'm saying? If a man don't love Yah, then he can't love his wife. Because therefore he won't look at the love that a Mashiach had for his wife and therefore present that to his wife. If a woman doesn't love Yah, then there's no way for her to love her husband, because that respect and reverence that she would have for Yah, she would manifest that to her husband. You know what I'm saying? Which is having the knowledge of his will and then the spiritual understanding to increase in the knowledge of Elohim, that you might bring forth fruit, the life eternal. You know what I'm saying? See, people take love. That's why I told y'all the word love. You can look at these dictionaries. They tell you love means sex. They'll tell you love means a whole bunch of other things. But in actuality, love means to respect and obey somebody. For a woman, it would be to respect and obey her husband. For a man, it would be to respect his wife. See, look at 1 Peter chapter 3 real fast. 1 Peter chapter 3. Make it verse 5. He's not going to sleep. We finna get ready to wrap this on up. For after this manner in the old time, the Kadesh women who also trusted in Elohim adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him master, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. You heard what he said? Dwell with them according to knowledge. Y'all we'll go into that in greater detail. But you see what he told them? Dwell with them according to knowledge. That means you ought to dwell with your wife according to what knowledge? So if you had the knowledge of the law, then you would, because the only way you're gonna know how to dwell with your wife, you're gonna have to go look at the law for that. You're gonna have to look at what the law tells you to do. Give honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. Do you not realize that When we look at Ezekiel 16 and all this stuff, that he said, Jeshurun waxed fat, I gave it, that he gave honor or respect to the wife. You know, he did the same thing. Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous, not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing, but contrast blessing, knowing that you are thereunto called that you should inherit a blessing. So obviously, if he's sitting here telling you not to render evil for evil, because we know all these things are taught in our law. All this stuff that this man's saying is not new. It's in our law. It's in the Tanakh. It's all through there. But when you have the knowledge of his will, and then you got the spiritual understanding of a Mashiach, because as we read, he said that vision will speak in the end. And we know Hebrews 1 say, your son has spoken to us you have spoken to us in these last days by your son. Now Hamashiach is giving you these instructions. Now it's no longer Moses and the prophets giving the instruction. It's Hamashiach, because the whole word was about him. Swing back to Romans 1. We'll start right there and continue on, y'all will, on Shabbat. So again, I'll read verse 17. For therein is the righteousness of Elohim revealed from faith to faith, as is written, the just shall live by faith. For the wrath of Elohim is revealed from Shamahim against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Don't you realize, okay, you got the ancient names, you know what I'm saying? Or you got all this stuff here. You holding the word, but you holding it in sin. Just like the scribes and Pharisees did, didn't they? They were holding the truth, but in righteousness, because they said and did something different. Therefore, they were casting heavy burdens upon the people, and they wouldn't move them. You placing sin on top of the people, but yet you won't show them how to get that sin off of them. You know what I'm saying? But because that we may be known of Elohim, it is manifest in them, for Elohim have showed it unto them. So these people sit back, they know they going to hell. They know they going. Matthew 5:17. They know they going. I know Troy told me something about what a nigga said, what fulfill actually meant. We know fulfill mean to complete. That doesn't mean that it's gone. But we don't use Matthew 5:17 to say this is why you ought to keep the law. If you know what to be set apart is, and you know it, because we could read in the New Covenant repeatedly how he talk about being set apart, right? We know where to find that at. Think not that I come to destroy the law. So if we turn around and look at law, that means I'm not coming to destroy the instructions. I'm not coming to tell you to do nothing different. Or the prophets, I come not to destroy, but to fulfill. For truly I say unto you, till Shamahim and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Whoso therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called least in the kingdom of Shamahim. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of Shamahim. For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall in no case enter into the kingdom of Shamahim. That means unless your righteousness, because we don't determine what the righteousness is, right? The righteousness of the law is if a man do him, he shall live in him, right? The righteousness of faith is that you would hear the word and you would believe it because it would rest in your heart, and with your mouth you would confess it. You know what I'm talking about? You would speak on it. You would live it. You would follow it. You would be justified through it. So then that way, then your faith would exceed the scribes and the Pharisees, because as a Mashiach told his apostles, he said, beware ye of the leaven of the scribes and Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. As we already read in Matthew 21, he said, John came in the way of righteousness. If you would have believed him, you would have repented. So it turned around that these men didn't have either one. You know what I'm talking about? They didn't walk in it and they didn't believe it. Praise ye y'all for Yahushua HaMashiach and the word. Y'all understood all this stuff this evening?